fixed it. It says you've disabled screen
Oh,
share.
okay, do you want me to, oh, okay. So maybe, oh, that's weird. Okay, let me fix that.
Otherwise, I can send you the
I
PowerPoint.
got it. I got
Okay, perfect.
it. Yeah, no, that's okay. I just needed to click multiple participants. So.
Got it. Perfect. Okay. Why is it in the PowerPoint showing up? Okay. All right. Can everybody see that? Let me share the name of the
I can see
slide.
it.
Okay. Good. All right. Is there anything else you wanted to mention before I start?
No, I think I'm good right now. I tried to
Okay.
give them an update within 5 minutes, but so I
Yeah.
told them that you guys would pretty much cover everything today, and if there's questions, then we can
Yeah.
continue our discussion. So, and I'm recording it too, so
Perfect.
that way, if they can always go back to the discussion.
Yeah,
So,
that works. And I can give you a PDF of the PowerPoint as well.
oh, perfect, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. All right. So, hi, everybody. Good morning. My name is Naomi, and I'm one of the career advisors at Mahalo Career Services, where we help out with all of your career needs, whether it be resume cover letter, mock interviews, working on your LinkedIn or career exploration, and everything in between. Today, I'll be talking about what's mainly covered in your career packet. I'll be going over resumes, cover letters, a little bit of VMOC, LinkedIn, and then just a touch on salary negotiation. Since I have a lot to cover, I'll be going decently quick, but if you have any questions, the chat box is open, so please put your questions in there. And then just let me know as we go along. First, I'll be talking about resumes. So purpose of resumes, it's to market yourself to potential employers and in order to get an interview, right? So you're putting enough information on there as much as you can to show an employer that you're a match for the position and to land you that interview. Your resume should be one-page advertisement of what makes you the best fit for the position. So not just like an altogether aggregated of everything that you've ever done. It's things that you've done that are relevant to the position all fitting on one page. And it should be detailed enough to give an employer a sense of what you bring to the table and specific and organized with your relevant skills and accomplishments. Employers typically have 10 to 15 seconds per resume since they typically have anywhere between 200 to 2,000 applicants for a position, right? So we really need to make sure that we're showcasing all of our relevant skills, experience, technology, and knowledge on that single page advertisement about you. So the outlines of a resume. So your format for the resume should be 11 to 12 point font. Your margin should be 0.75 to 1 inch. We typically don't want to make it any smaller than 0.75 because then you run the risk of trailing off the page, an employer missing valuable details of your resume. And then again, we're going to keep it to one page. A great resource to use that I'll be referencing throughout this is a guide to resume writing, which is on our website under resume resources. Quick little tip on formatting. So you want to make sure that it's professional and easy to read. You definitely have quite a few options. You're not just stuck with like your Times New Roman, but since your employer only has 10 to 15 seconds to read your resume, it really just needs to be clear and professional and easy to read. All right, so what to include on your resume. So in order, and then I'll be going over each and every one of these sections in a good amount of detail and providing examples for both. So what you absolutely need on your resume no matter what is your heading, which is your name and contact information, your education, and your experience. And optional sections are your objective and summary, activities such as volunteer work or campus involvement, honors and awards, and your skills. And again, we're going to go over each of these section by section. And to the left of the writing, you'll see an example of a business resume as well. All right, so your header, your name and your contact information. So for your address, you can absolutely do city and state. You don't need your full mailing address since employers really aren't mailing you anything. You also need your email address and your phone number. You can absolutely put your LinkedIn profile if you have it and you feel really confident about it. If you've started a LinkedIn or you haven't, good news is that we'll talk about it later today. So LinkedIn's always a great thing to put on here, or a professional portfolio, or maybe you have a website if you're in a more creative field, but you can also put that up there as well. Your name should be the biggest thing on your page. It should be in between 14 to 16 point font. It'll stand out really nicely since the rest of your resume is going to be between 11 and 12 point font. And this is just one example of how you can present your contact information. It's nice and clean. I've seen students split it in different ways, as long as it's clean and organized and consistent. So for your summary and objective, your summary and objective are under the optional section. Objectives and summaries are great for something like a career fair or a networking event, but isn't always needed if you're submitting an online application because they typically know what position you're applying for, so that's not always needed in your resume. But an objective talks about who you are, what you're looking for, and what skills or experiences you're bringing to the table. Objectives are great because if an employer at, let's say, a career fair is hiring for multiple positions in departments, maybe they're hiring a marketing manager and maybe they're hiring a decision science analyst, they might be hiring for different roles. Therefore, in your objective, you'll put in specific role that you're applying to, and then they know what pile to stick you in. So that's a great way of putting an objective. A summary is very similar to an objective, but it's more detailed and specific and shows employers how you're a match for the position by stating specific skills, experience, or knowledges. Your objectives and summaries aren't that long at all. So as you see, the objective, it's like 1 to 2 lines, and your summary is just a little bit longer than that. So typically they're not full paragraphs. So for your education, so in most cases, your education is the first thing on your resume below your name. Again, unless you have an objective or summary. So everything that I'm talking about is going to be in order of placement on your resume. For your education and for everything else on your resume, in each section, you're going to start with the most recent item. So for your education, you're going to start with the most recent program of study, including your institution, your degree, and concentration. And we're going to write everything out. So we're not going to abbreviate anything. We're going to make sure that everything's written out in full. So it'll be California State University, Fullerton, Bachelor of Arts in Business Administration, and then you'll have your concentration. In some cases for your concentration, you can put it next to your degree title if it's short enough and fits on that line, or you can put it in a separate line. You can have concentration in, and then your concentration, or concentration colon, and then your concentration. This especially works if you have a dual concentration, or if you have a minor, or just a very long concentration name like entertainment and hospitality management, and you might need a separate line for that. Your community college and any study abroad programs will go in this section as well. Again, from most recent on. So if you did a study abroad program while at Cal State Fullerton, it'll just go right below your Cal State Fullerton, but with it. And then you'll have the dates and location and program title of your study abroad program. For your community college, you'll follow the same format as your Cal State Fullerton, but it'll just be below your Cal State Fullerton. And then you'll have the date that you graduated and received your associate's degree or associates for transfer. For your GPA, our rule of thumb is if it's a 3.0 or above, it's good to be on your resume. If you're in a community college or if you've been to multiple schools, it's a great thing to label your GPA as cumulative GPA. Also, if you're an accounting student, you'll need your cumulative GPA and your accounting GPA, which your accounting GPA you'll have to manually calculate with your accounting classes. All right, so your coursework. Your coursework is a great way of giving employers an idea of the relevant knowledge and proficiency that you've learned throughout your studies so far. What you'll do for this section, if you want to include it, is you'll list out your classes that you've taken, and you'll give a brief description in sub-bullets describing the knowledge that you've gained and what you've learned. So let's say that you're applying for an internship and you've held a part-time job or a position in a campus organization, and you really want to highlight some industry-specific knowledge as well. This is a great way of doing that. Make sure that you're putting it in your own words and not just pulling it from the course description. I did not take these classes, so I had to pull them from the course description, but please make sure that you're putting it in your own words. All right, so course project, pretty similar concept to the course work, but this really gives you an awesome way of showcasing specific skills that you've acquired that are relevant to your industry. So maybe you're a marketing student and you're applying for an internship or an entry-level position, and you've held a part-time job and you really want to leverage your industry-specific skills as well. The course project would be a great way of highlighting that because you can showcase industry-specific skills. You'll list your project name, the term in which you took that project, the course name, and then you'll put the full course name versus like BUAD 201, you'll write the actual name of the course. So for your experience can include anything like internship, any relevant experience or additional experience. And you're gonna present the most relevant experiences first. Remember, in each section, it's the most recent and on. For your most relevant experience, you can have 2 different sections for experience or just 1 section for experience, and I'll show you kind of what that looks like. By splitting it into 2 different sections as far as relevant experience and additional experience, maybe you've taken an internship in between your part-time jobs. This gives you the chance to showcase your internship first and then have your part-time jobs as additional experience. So I'll show you what that looks like, or you can just have 1 whole section and it just has to be for most recent on. So just like this. So for the top example, that's their experience section, but for the bottom example, they've split it where they have a relevant position on top and then their additional experience on the bottom. And then your locations for your positions, as you can see, they're optional. In most cases, you're submitting an online application, so all of that information is in there. So in this case, you'll just have the month and the years in which you attended that position or were in that role. So volunteer experience, campus involvement, any organization or memberships, that all can be included on your resume. So volunteer experience will follow the same exact format as your work experience, except if you're a volunteer and don't have a leadership role in that role, then you'll just simply state the organization in which you're a volunteer. Then you'll have the dates and you'll bullet out what you've done in that role. For your membership, so if you're in an organization and you just hold a membership position and not a leadership position, you'll just state the organization name and your role, and then you'll state the dates in which you were in that organization. If you were involved in an organization and held a leadership role, then you'll bullet it out similar to your experience. Well, you'll label out the organization, your role, and then you'll bullet out specifically what you did within that role. And same thing for affiliations. They give you two different examples. And these would be their own section on your resume, depending on what you've done. So for your skills section, so your skills section is just going to be your hard skills. So any relevant technology and language. So Microsoft PowerPoint, Excel, Word, any relevant technology. So if you're a marketing student, you might want to showcase your Adobe software experience. Putting in a fluency in a second language is always great as well. Again, any relevant technology and any language. And this is going to look different for each concentration and industry because there's different relevant experiences in technologies for each concentration. Any other skills such as like communication or teamwork, that's going to be in your actual experiences within your bullets, and I'll talk about that in just a minute. All right, so perfecting your bullets. So what is actually going to make your case as far as you're a fit for the position? That's going to be in your bullets, and we refer to those as accomplishment statements. So those are a way of showing an employer that you have exactly what they're looking for and can get the job done. So an accomplishment statement is different than a job duty because a job duty just merely describes your day-to-day tasks, whereas an accomplishment statement showcases your skills and shows an employer the impact that your work has on the company. So that's the important piece, is the impact. You want to show employers what you can actually do and how it improves the organization. So our basic format for an accomplishment statement is start with an action. So an action verb, what did you do? Did you communicate? Did you manage? Did you lead? Did you analyze? And then state what you did. So what did you communicate? What did you lead? What did you analyze? And then the impact piece is the result, right? So what was the whole purpose behind communicating or analyzing or managing? That whole structure is your accomplishment. A great way to think of that impact piece is if you can't think of a result right away, think about what would happen if you didn't complete that action, right? If you didn't communicate with your group of 4 people for your project, what would happen, right? The assignment wouldn't get done in time to complete, to get the grade, right? So when you're writing an accomplishment statement, you're going to follow the format of the action verb. So in this case, it's addressed. What are we addressing? Customer requests and concerns. Why are we addressing them? To ensure guest satisfaction, right? And we have other details in here, such as more details. So we address daily customer concerns and communicated with team members to ensure guest satisfaction. And we're also quantifying by adding a specific in the daily piece. So as you can see, it's quite a bit of a difference between your job duty, where they just talk about resolving customer complaints and concerns, and they've added so much more to it, and you can really see the impact of their work. And they talked about how they're improving the organization by ensuring guest satisfaction. Where I talked about earlier the daily for the specific, that is called quantifying. So quantifying in your bullets is adding specifics and giving context to your work. Anything in regards to numbers, percentages, or any money that you've managed, or how often you've done it. Did you complete the reports annually, daily, monthly, right? That is quantifying. It really adds to the overall impact that you've made in your position. And go ahead and take a second to look at the bullets. With the examples here. And the quantifiers really do make a difference. And when I talked about earlier, as far as showcasing your communication skills and your teamwork and organization and leadership, this is exactly what I mean. So within your experiences, your coursework, your course project, your campus involvement, you're going to highlight the skills employers are looking for and your bullets. So please take a second to kind of read through these examples. Those are really awesome ways of showcasing skills that employers are looking for and weaving them throughout your resume. And some of these are pulled from course projects too, just to show you guys that you really can highlight relevant skills in your course projects. This is a great way of doing so if you're still building your experiences on your resume. All right, so I'm gonna jump into cover letter. And again, I will email this PDF to your professor so you guys can have access to this as well. So for your cover letter, a cover letter gives employers a look into your personality and the ability to communicate your relevant strengths, knowledge, and accomplishments. A cover letter also tells the employer who you are and why they want you. It showcases your ability to write well. A lot of the times in a position you'll see written and verbal communication, and you're showcasing your verbal communication in your bullets as I showed you earlier, but your cover letter really highlights your written communication ability as well. It gives you more of a platform to highlight your strengths in detail as you're giving examples of your strengths in your body paragraphs. It shows that you're serious about the opportunity, and it makes up for things that a resume can't stand alone on. It also sets a great follow-up, as I'll show you in your conclusion how you can kind of set up. I look forward to talking to you further about, and kind of gives you a chance to ask for an interview indirectly. So we'll go over that in just a minute. A great way to think about, is a cover letter necessary? So a lot of the times the employer will have a cover letter be optional. So if it's between you and another candidate and you both have similar experiences, it now comes down to your cover letter, right? The employer is now going to think what stands out between one candidate over the other. And I'm going to read your cover letter to find out more about you. So that's kind of a great way to thinking about that as well. So like a resume, your cover letter is going to be 1 page. It is going to be 11 to 12 point font with 1-inch margins. And it is going to be in block format, which means it's going to be left aligned text. So you will not be indenting. Your sections will include your header. Your header should be exactly as your resume. Then you're going to have their information as well. So you're going to have your information, the company's information, the date, and then you're going to have your greeting. That is all going to be in your heading. Then you're going to have your intro paragraph, your 1 to 2 body paragraphs, your concluding paragraph, and then your closing and signature. And again, I'm going to go through each section on here. All right, so again, your heading, your name and contact information is going to be exactly the same as it is on your resume. And that's for consistency. And on the rare chance that your resume and cover letter were to separate from each other, this gives the employer an opportunity to easily find the missing resume or cover letter. You're going to have the date that you're submitting the application. So not the date of the deadline, but the date that you're submitting the application. And then you're going to have the employer's information. So if you know the recipient's name, you're going to put their name and title in this midsection right here. If you do not know their name and title, you will leave it out of the header. You'll just then have the company or organization name with their address. And again, if you don't know the contact person's name, then you're just going to put Dear and then the company name, representative. So in this case, if you didn't know that John Doe was a recruiter, you would just put Dear Big Fashion Corporation representative. Okay, for your opening paragraph, so your opening paragraph in your cover letter is the big selling point. This is like your tell me about yourself, right? So you're going to introduce yourself, state the position that you're seeking, and then you're going to make a connection. So why are you applying to this company? What is it about this company that really stands out to you and that's inspiring you to apply? And then you're going to summarize your strengths. So why are you the best fit for the position? And the strengths that you're summarizing, you're going to then elaborate on those strengths, experiences, or knowledge within your body paragraphs. So go ahead and take a second to read this example of your opening paragraph. So as you can see, after reading that, they've really hit all the marks, right? So they stated the position they're applying for, the company. They've given a great example of why they're applying to this company specifically. They've highlighted their key skills, experience, and knowledge, and really outlined why they're a great fit for the position, right? And they've tied it all in. And it doesn't have to be super long. Typically, your intro paragraph is around 3 to 4 sentences. So for your middle paragraphs, this is the main examples of your skills. So the why am I a great fit? Why should they hire you? That's what you're going to talk about in your middle paragraphs. You have the option of doing 1 or 2 body paragraphs. I really recommend 2 because it gives you more of a platform to organize your skills, experience, or knowledges. If you're just highlighting maybe 1 experience, but you're giving examples of multiple skills throughout that experience, then you can put it in 1 body paragraph. But again, I always prefer 2, because it gives you more room to talk about your experiences, your knowledge, and your skills, but in an organized way. So it shows you're fit for the position and fit for the company. So again, you're making it about them. Why are you a match? You're going to map out your experience and your skills. You're going to elaborate on items from your resume, but you're not going to repeat it. So in this case, you're going to tell a story. And then you're going to make it all come together, the position, pulling things from your resume, and going into detail within your cover letter. And go ahead and take a second to read these 2 middle paragraphs. So if you decide to write just one middle paragraph, it will be about the same length. So anywhere between 3 to 5 sentences per paragraph is about a good average. So as you can see in the middle paragraphs, they tied in the skills that they talked about in their intro paragraph, right? They talked about their education, they talked about their experiences, and they go into more detail about that. So you're giving specific examples versus just listing. And there's a really big difference in highlighting examples versus just listing skill, 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 right? And they've weaved it in by talking about the company throughout here as well. So when you're closing paragraph, you're going to summarize everything that you've talked about so far. So your closing paragraph, we really shouldn't be talking about anything new, right? Only summarizing what we've talked about so far. You're going to restate your interest. You're going to ask for an interview indirectly. I'll show you what I mean by that. And then you're going to thank the reader for their time in reading your cover letter, right? So take a second to read this concluding paragraph. So in most cases, we recommend students ask for an interview more indirectly versus straight up saying, I'm open for an interview or something along those lines. We recommend that students ask more indirectly, so it's a little bit more of a softer approach, so you don't come off too strong. So you can say something along the lines of, I look forward to further discussing how my skills best align with the position, and kind of connect it that way. But in the concluding paragraph, they've summarized their experiences, why they're interested in the position, and their match. And then they've thanked them for their time and consideration and indirectly asked for an interview. So they've covered everything, but just in a short amount of sentences. Your conclusion is usually going to be just about 3 sentences, give or take. And then lastly, you'll have your signature. So in most cases, you're sending a digital copy of your cover letter. So usually there's no need to sign. You'll just do your closing and then your full name. All right, before I hop into LinkedIn profiles, I wanted to quickly talk about VMOC. I know that it's mentioned in your prompt as well. For the sake of time, I'm going to briefly talk about VMOC. But VMOC is a resume platform that utilizes smart technology to analyze your resume and gives you personalized feedback. Your resume is going to be uploaded in PDF format, and then the system analyzes your content and format based on the criteria that we've provided for students. And you actually have the ability to view your guidelines as well. If you get stuck on a certain section, you can view the guidelines and criteria that we put in there. And that's all based on what we see that employers are looking for. Once you submit your resume, it gives you a benchmark score, and then it gives you feedback in each of those sections. And then it gives you line by line suggestions to improve specific content within your resume. When you're accessing VMOC, you're going to go to vmoc.com/Fullerton, and you're going to log in with your university ID. So once you upload your resume, you get 10 uploads. So please take your time in reviewing the feedback. If your professor needs your score to be a certain point, or if you need to be within the green section, take your time when you're reviewing the feedback. So let's say you land somewhere in the yellow section. I wouldn't try to upload all 10 of your uploads all at once, because you'll max out and we need to ask for permission. And sometimes that takes a little bit of time. And I know that your project is due within a certain amount of time. So once you upload a couple uploads of your resume and you're not noticing a big increase of your score, go ahead and you can make an appointment with one of the career advisors at Mahalo Career Services, and we can help you really improve your score and quality of your resume. So we can go over that with you in an appointment. So again, once you upload your resume in VMOC, it goes over impact, presentation, and competencies, and gives you line by line suggestions on how to improve your resume. So once you go on the detailed feedback, it breaks it down into those 3 sections, and it gives you suggestions on how to improve it, and it gives you overall scores in each section. And when I'm reviewing my resume, so you can't edit your resume within VMOC, I usually just do split screen and go section by section, line by line in making those changes and corrections within my resume. And I save that, I upload the updated version in a PDF on VMOC, and then I'll see a score increase that way. All right, and again, if you have any questions, feel free to use the chat box, and you will have a copy of this as well. So for your LinkedIn.
I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. Can I interrupt you just for 1 minute?
Yeah, go ahead.
So with the VMOC, with the VMOC, does it provide, so it provides this information, do they have to, so if students, like let's say they need to send it to me for, like just kind of showing that they've done the VMOC, do they have is there a PDF that's created, or do they just screenshot the information, like their score? So how does that work?
Yeah, a lot of the times for assignment, I see it done usually in 2 ways. So they either screenshot it, they can save it as a PDF. When they go to print, there's an option to save as a PDF, or they can screenshot it using the snipping tool and then send it to you. Or if you create an assignment, there's a way for the student to submit their score to you within VMOC.
Okay.
Usually it's easy just to do a screenshot.
Oh yeah, I just wasn't sure how the students would be able to capture the information to attach it as part of the package. So they can just screenshot it or PDF it. Okay.
Yeah, just like this. I screenshotted these with the snipping tool, so it was pretty easy to do.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Awesome. Okay. So for your LinkedIn profile, so I know this is extra credit, but LinkedIn is really a fantastic way to showcase your skills. I actually just had an appointment with a student yesterday, and he said that a recruiter for an operations management position for Amazon reached out to him on LinkedIn, found his profile, and offered him an interview. He didn't apply to the position, he just had a strong LinkedIn profile, and the recruiter reached out to him. So pretty cool. Another really awesome encouraging story as to why you should have a LinkedIn profile or the benefits of it. So what is LinkedIn, right? So LinkedIn is pretty much a social media platform geared to professionals. It's used by professionals who've been in business or starting out in their career. So it's really for everybody. It's for students, it's for people who've been in their industry for a long time, and everyone else in between. So it's ideal for building your connections and growing your network, for conducting industry and career research, for searching for jobs and internships, and showcasing and validating your skills and experience. So just some examples of a strong LinkedIn profile, and I'll go over each sections, but the overall visual impact, you have a professional photo, you have a background that's important to them, you have their title, you can see their summary, you can also upload graphics and documents within your summary section as well. And this is just a fraction of their profile. We'll go into each section. So on your LinkedIn profile, the sections that you should include are a profile picture. Again, we're going to make sure that it's professional, a background photo, a profile headline, a professional summary, experience section, extracurricular activity and volunteer work, coursework and projects, connections, endorsements, and recommendations. So I'll go over these. So for your profile picture, you want to make sure that you can see your whole face and that it's professional, and that you're smiling. So studies show that having a picture in your profile makes your profile 7 times more likely to be viewed. And again, we want to make sure that it's professional and clean and neat. So when you're writing a headline, so typically your headline is what you're doing right now. So if you're a student or if you're in the profession or if you're kind of doing both, you can mention those, but you're going to have your job title or the company or your school name. Then you're going to have a keyword. So if that's your position or if that's your degree, you'll put that in there. And then usually you'll have a buzzword or a zing to kind of catch their attention. Your job title and company make you relevant, and there are more keywords to pop up when employers and recruiters are looking for. Keywords are crucial in regards to being found in a LinkedIn search, and then your zing or something about you that's special is something that makes you interesting and make others want to get to know you even more. And I have 2 examples of that as well. So for your About section, previously titled Summary Sections, your About section should be a short commercial that advertises your strengths, abilities, and experiences. It's good to start out with a strong, catchy opening statement. You can also weave in industry-specific keywords throughout your About section summary as well. And don't be afraid to interject some personality in here also. In my About section, I mentioned my hobbies at the end as well, just kind of showcasing my personality a little bit more. This is definitely the section on LinkedIn to brag about your accomplishments, but in a short, concise way. Keep it readable with short paragraphs or bullet points. Try not to go overboard and have like a 5-paragraph long About section. And then it's always a great idea to mention your goal or your next steps at the end of your About section. And please make sure that you're spell check, proofread, and grammar check before publishing. I always put it in a Word document and then I paste it into my About section. So I don't think it has spell check as a feature. And then you can take a second to kind of read these About sections here. All right, so for your experience section on your LinkedIn, remember you're going to talk about you and not your company. If you've taken the time to write out really thorough bullets in your resume, a lot of the times you can pull those bullets and put them in your experience sections. And you can also show how you've developed as a professional by listing all the roles that you've held in that organization as well, or just all the roles that you've had. So maybe you started out with a part-time job and then maybe you went into an internship and then you went into an entry-level position. So that's a great way of showing your progression or your development. This is a great place to talk about your skills, your strengths, and your abilities that you've used within those roles and showcase what you've accomplished. You've grown as an individual and as a professional, right? And again, we can include our accomplishment statements that we've used in our resume and weave them throughout our experiences. I literally just pulled my accomplishment statements from my experiences and transferred them over to my LinkedIn, and it looks really great in bullet format. And these are some examples of experiences where they've highlighted what they've done in those roles, and it kind of shows the progression. And I gave you an example of what a progression would look like within one organization where they've held multiple roles, and then a second example with holding multiple roles in different organizations. So I've kind of provided with those 2 examples. And LinkedIn pre-sorts it with most recent experience on. So when you're adding an additional section, so there's additional sections that you can add in your profile, and I'll talk about those in a second, but you're gonna go to the Me if you're on the LinkedIn home, then you're gonna go to view profile, add a profile section, and then you'll go under the accomplishment section, and that's when you add your coursework or your projects or any other volunteer work. So that's under the accomplishment section. So your LinkedIn profile should cover your overall professional development, showing your involvement in organization or causes or projects or coursework that you've done to round out you as a professional. So here are some examples of those sections that I just mentioned. So they have volunteer work, they have campus involvement, they have courses that they've taken under the accomplishments. You can look at those as well. All right, so tips for a winning LinkedIn profile. So remember to update your LinkedIn profile regularly. So if you've had a new experience or accomplished a new skill within a role, be sure to add it because employers and recruiters are checking those frequently. Illustrate the skills employers are seeking. So make sure that you're on top of relevant things within the industry and demonstrating skills that employers are looking for. And you can make it easy to find you by highlighting keywords and weaving in those throughout your profile and making sure that you have all those sections on your profile as well. It's always a great thing to have a colleague give you a recommendation. The way to request a recommendation is that you go to someone else's profile and under the More section, you have an option for request a recommendation. So it's right next to the message section. You'll select More and then request a recommendation. Remember to promote a positive professional image of yourself. So again, keep it all professional and relevant. You can also get your skills endorsed. Typically when you endorse other people's skills, you can get your skills endorsed as well. And this is just kind of verifying what you've done. Try your best to make your page user-friendly just by including your information and not having it too wordy on your profile as well. And be selective with what you display and post, and try to display your skills and your talents and your experiences to help showcase that you're well-rounded. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the chat box. All right, so I'm also going to talk about salary negotiation real quick. All right, so salary negotiation can seem a little daunting at first, but it's really there to benefit you throughout the process, right? So the 3 areas I'm going to be talking about is the preparation, so what you need to know before the negotiation process, what you need to know during the process, and then tips for the offer, counter offer, and post offer. So ultimate rules for negotiation. Usually you want to let them make an offer first, because being the first to say a number usually doesn't give you as many chances to move up and down later on. You really want to do your research ahead of time to double check that your offer isn't too high or too low. And I'll give you some resources and ways you can find out what average salaries are for those positions. So when you're leveraging an offer, keep in mind what they gain by hiring you, right? So you really need to make sure that you're aware of your key strengths, your skills. So what you have to leverage, right? What do you have to kind of stand on when you're making this offer, right? So also conducting research and knowing what they're looking for and what you have supports your position when you're leveraging your offer. Sales and negotiation are two different things. So when you're negotiating an offer, it's not necessarily the same thing as sales. And then remember that you can't negotiate until the offer is actually made. So you always want to try to wait for them to make the offer. Sometimes they'll ask for your preferred salary or your desired salary. I've even seen position applications where they've asked for your desired salary, just straight up in the application. So this is where you conducting research on your worth is really, really, really important. And I'll give you some resources and ways in which you can do that research to make sure you're not putting a number that's too low or too high for the position and your experience. So things to keep in mind, that salary ranges based on region and industry. Keep in mind too the benefit package that's offered as well, what the outcomes or goals are valued by the organization, what does the company care about, what do they value, and then what additional compensationable knowledge, skills, and experiences do you bring to the job. So these are all things to kind of keep in mind throughout the negotiation process. So what you need to know, right? So we need to first determine the market rate, the salary range for the position for this particular industry. So review the salary information. We offer these on our career path guides, and there's other resources you can check out as well. Use the job listings, which indicate salaries for relevant positions as well. So for the position that you're applying for, if you don't find an average salary for the position, then you can always go on other sites and find related positions that have salaries in there as well. I always find salaries and average salaries on Glassdoor. And then LinkedIn showcases salaries a lot of the time too, and Indeed. You can also ask professional friends and networking contacts within your industry as well. You also want to determine the current market rate salary range for this position in the particular industry. So you want to know kind of what the current shape of the industry is. And that it really ranges county to county and country to country. So there really is a difference. So you really want to make sure that you do your research ahead of time. So salary.com, wageproject.org, PayScale, Glassdoor, these are all great sites where you can find out the info of kind of your worth. So sites like salary.com, they take in the position that you're looking at, your location, your specific experience and education, and they take all of that and then give you an estimated median salary for that position and your experience and education. So that helps you when you're leveraging because you've done your research, you know what you're worth, and you have an average salary, and that kind of gives you an idea of your ranges. So things to remember, what your target salary is, so that's doing your research, but also knowing what your personal target salary is too. you know your expenses, you know what you need to live by. That's kind of keeping in mind your target salary too. Know where your resistant point is, right? What number is too low for your needs? And at what point would be your walking away point, right? Some companies offer first. Sometimes companies offer first offer, best offer, so don't go higher than that. So just keep that in mind as well. So that's why it's really, really important to know your going rate by doing your research on the company and on average salaries for that industry and location. And also kind of walk yourself through the offer. And remember, you can take time. You don't have to give them a response right away. And it's really a good idea to take some time to think about it. Usually within 24 hours of the offer is a good amount of time. And remember to try to keep kind of a neutral approach on it and discuss start dates before finalizing the offer. So when you're developing your supporting argument for the salary that you're wagering, take in mind what facts support your view, right? What validates the information. That's the research that you're conducting on sites like salary.com. So when you're negotiating the actual offer, the first step is you're going to obtain the offer. You're going to get the details such as salary, benefits, and paid time off. Then you're going to analyze the offer and collect any missing information that you need to make your counteroffer. You're going to evaluate the offer in regards to your goals, your trade-offs, your walking away point, and what you need. Then you're going to negotiate a counteroffer, and then you're going to obtain agreement and ask for the final offer in writing. Then you'll ask for your start date as well. So typically the initial offer is over the phone. Express your pleasure at receiving the offer and enthusiasm for the position. They're going to clarify any aspects of the offer as necessary. You're going to discuss your total compensation, so your benefits, your vacation, your holiday, any sick pay or anything like that. You're going to request time to think about it. So typically within 24 to 48 hours. And then you're going to remember to be respectful and courteous. So the counter offer, tell them that you've thoroughly considered your offer, express excitement about the position, explain your number and the reason behind it, expect the manager to consider. Try your best not to bug or pester, give them some time as well, and then get a follow-up frame from them before you leave. So usually they'll say, I will take this counter offer to such and such department and get back to you within such and such window. If they don't give you that window of time, you can ask kind of when you expect that next steps of the counter offer. Then the acceptance, right? You decide on a start date, you thank them for the opportunity, and then you go out and celebrate. Woohoo! All right. Any questions? I know I talked about a lot.
There was one question in the chat. I don't know if you just want to just share it with the entire group. That Megan answered it though pretty thoroughly.
Yeah, you can share it too. Either way is fine.
Oh, yeah, it was just Karis asked the question about when talking about salary, do you recommend hourly pay or like discussing hourly pay or yearly pay?
Oh,
And
good point. Sorry.
Megan answered. No, Megan answered.
Yeah.
She just said it depends on the job. They offer either hourly or salary. So just talk in terms of what is offered by the company.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Perfect. Yeah, so they'll kind of determine that. So that's a really good question. But yeah, usually they they state that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Just in my experience, usually, like it does depend on the company. They will
Hmm.
say like this is a salaried position, so they don't
Right.
offer like an hourly pay rate. So
Yeah.
if you're a salary employee, you're not going to get $15 an hour. You're just going to get 30 grand a year, right? So or
Yeah.
something. You know,
Yeah, exactly.
and I think yeah, I don't know. There's kind of nuances. Like if you're an hourly employee, there are
Hmm.
some benefits you won't receive, at least in my experience, versus salary. There are some benefits. So I don't know. I guess it depends on the
Yeah.
employer.
The rules a little bit different too. And even if you're sometimes if you're a salary if you get paid hourly, they'll still negotiate your annual salary, if that makes sense.
Now I have a question for you,
Yeah.
maybe just for the class, as far as
Mhm.
hourly versus salary.
Yeah.
When we're looking for jobs,
Hmm.
what do you recommend? Like if we see, oh, $15 an hour, but then there's another job that's more like kind of similar, but has a salary
Hmm.
range. Would you like recommend that maybe people look for the salary because it's a better, maybe a better fit, or do we just have to, just look at the whole package? Because I guess, is it more enticing, or is it just a better fit for somebody to seek a salaried position versus
Mm.
an hourly position? Does that make sense? I guess I'm trying to.
Yeah, it all kind of depends on the industry and where you're at. Like internships, you're gonna see hourly no matter what. Entry level positions, you might see hourly or salary. So I guess it just kind of depends on the position and the industry, um, and where you're going into. I've held both positions and both roles within the industry. Like for example, a position may start out hourly and then move into more salary. So it just kind of depends. So I guess just kind of do your research. It may be a great position and you may start off hourly and then you move into salary, but sometimes that's more your schedule and kind of how and when you get paid and what hours you work. Um, it's also it's also intricate.
Yeah. Okay.
I can help answer that question.
Thank you.
Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you. I think pretty much everybody can hear you.
Okay. So when you're trying to compare and look, I would convert everything to the same. So if you're looking at one salary versus one hourly, I convert it to the same, either all hourly or all salaried, so you can see how they match up. With salaried, you won't get things like overtime, but hourly you would. So if you're in an industry that tends to work a lot of hours, like accounting, as salaried, you won't get any extra money, but hourly you would get those extra hours. So Naomi's right, it does depend on the industry itself, but think about how many overtime hours or extra hours you might work in the industry. But overall, it is a package. So you could be getting also more overall financially as far as compensation, but you could be paying a lot for health insurance or other things. So it could end up balancing out with another role, say within government, where you don't pay as much in health insurance or dental, but you might get paid a little bit less. But they end up being about the same anyway.
Okay. Yeah, it definitely makes sense. I think that I think a lot of times people are more turned, or they turn toward the actual just what I'm going to get paid an hour
Mm-hmm.
or salary versus the whole entire package. So that definitely
Mm-hmm.
helps. I'm sorry, I took up the time as far as questions and answers. So maybe, is there anybody
No,
else that have, please, yeah, you guys have any questions, maybe you can ask. I know that they'll be available. So I think they're going to just discuss their availability now. So
yeah.
sorry.
No, you're totally fine. These are really fantastic questions and questions that I know I had, and also things that I found out as I went in the industry, and you kind of learn as you go too. But these are all really, really great things to consider when you're um, deciding on which positions are the best fit for you. As far as utilizing our services at Mahalo Career Services, you can make appointments online. All of our appointments are virtual right now, and accessible on our website, and you can talk to any of our career advisors about resume, cover letter, VMOC, LinkedIn, salary negotiation, and then any additional topics such as mock interviews or career exploration. But throughout this career packet, if you need help with your resume or cover letter, please feel free to make an appointment with us. We have quite a few advisors available for appointments. So we definitely have availability right now. So please feel free to make an appointment with us if you need any help with your assignment, and then any other career services support moving forward.
Yeah, that's great for offering help with the assignment. I think that would be a good resource for all you guys to consider. Cool. Awesome. So, okay, so are there any other comments that you guys like to make, or should we just kind of move forward?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know it's a lot to cover.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. And then just for my class, if you guys could just mark that you are here. That way I can save it. Thank you. That's how I do my role. And then, yeah, so if there are any other things that we can discuss later, I can email you, Naomi and Megan. I appreciate all your help. And then we'll just, and then I'll let you know if there's anything else that I get aside from student responses or questions.
Yeah, and then again, I'll email you this PDF right now, so you'll have that to post.
Oh, great. And then I'll post that PDF, you guys, on the Titanium. I'll post it on week 12, so you guys could have the PDF at your disposal, okay?
Awesome. Well, good luck, everybody, with your assignment. And then I will talk to you soon, Professor.
All right. Thanks again. Talk to you later.
Okay.
All right. Bye. All right, guys, I know that you probably have to go to class, so just, or if you have another appointment. So we will talk again on Thursday. Some of you have already left, so that's fine. But we'll talk again on Thursday, and we will have another speaker from the library. And that one's, so we're gonna kind of move, we'll talk about the career package again. I do have the prompt posted. It's pretty clear, I think, as far as what is expected of you. And this PowerPoint was really helpful, I hope, in learning about how to at least, formulate a resume, and then all of the cover letter and all the information you need, at least for the rough draft. So just pay careful attention to the PDF and the prompt. And then on Thursday, we're going to talk about the short memo report, but with the librarian, he is going to share with you that's going to be a separate assignment. So I will make sure to post the prompt for that, so you'll know that you kind of have two projects simultaneously. Okay. So I won't take any more of your time, but if you do have questions, please let me know. Okay. So see you guys Thursday. Yes, and the PowerPoint will be posted to Titanium in week 12. Okay. So once she sends it to me, I'll make sure to post that and you guys will have access to it. Okay. Okay. All right. Thanks a lot, guys. Talk to you later on. Have a good day.